Happy Friday! Coming up on 4:30 and talking about that snow chance tomorrow morning, which I'm going to spend most of my time explaining why I don't think, if you live in the regular flat of the Willamette Valley in the I-5 corridor, I don't think this is going to be any big deal. I think we'll mostly just see rain in the morning until you get up in elevation, and we'll get into that. It's been a day that's seen some nice dry stretches and then rain. So I grabbed this photo just about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Rain was coming down pretty good up here at my house and also at Pearson Airfield in Vancouver, my house being up north of downtown Vancouver. You can see the wet tarmac. This is one of my live cameras from my live camera network. And again, you can see all those on my weather site, portlandweather.com, which is where some of these images are going to come from. We have a weather front that nears the coast tomorrow morning, throws some moisture inland overnight into tomorrow. The front never really just surges inland itself, and that's one reason why I don't think most of us will see snow tomorrow. But the precipitation now looks pretty hefty, anywhere from, I think we have to at least get a quarter of an inch the next 24 hours. That's from now through tonight, through much of tomorrow afternoon, to maybe we just get up close to half of an inch with 45/100ths of an inch. So for the Willamette Valley in Southwest Washington, that's what the weather models are basically putting out for total precipitation. Let me hit this again. Come on, here we go. All right, here's our front out in the Pacific. Again, this is going to nestle itself up along the Oregon coast tomorrow morning. There will be some cooling, but in terms of the frontal boundary staying together and just plowing in, if you get a good cold front, it's kind of like a snow plow. Colder air behind that front stays down low and acts like a wedge and just comes into the warmer air ahead of it, and then that forces lifting, and then you can get those kind of heavy rain bands with the cold front coming in. This one, the frontal boundary comes in, then it kind of just lays down and throws some rain our way, but we don't get the sharp, solid rain band coming with it. Anyway, the front will be just off of the Oregon coast, it looks like, by about 4 o'clock or so tomorrow morning. Now, I do want to let you know, because if you have a phone and you subscribe to different warnings and advisories and push alerts, you're probably seeing something depending on where you live. So this is the National Weather Service warning map. What catches my mind mostly is this color up and down the coast range. So that is a winter storm warning for overnight tonight through the day tomorrow, at least through the morning hours into early afternoon, where the coast range could be looking at 6 to 12 inches near and above 1,000 feet. And really most elevations of the coast mountains, the coast range, probably picking up something. I mean, even the lower elevations could be looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. And it's interesting this time. Remember I said that front doesn't just fully plow in. So because of that, it looks like we get more moisture throwing up into the coast range than we will the Cascades, meaning the coast range could see higher snow amounts tomorrow than the Cascades. That's not unusual, but we haven't seen it much this year. Okay, so if you notice, this could change. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point the Weather Service extends a snow advisory or a winter weather advisory down through Salem. But for right now, it's just the North Valley up into Southwest Washington for the potential of sticking snow at all elevations. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. I do like the winter storm warning for the coast range, 6 to 12 above 1,000 feet, lesser amounts lower. But I like downtown Portland, which is basically 50 feet at most above sea level. I do like downtown Portland staying just wet, with it being, in fact, mostly rain. There might be a snow mix at some point, but I think this is mostly rain coming into downtown Portland tomorrow. I'm going to throw out there a snow chance generally above 200 feet. Now, if this is exactly right, you folks in Salem, the main city center, you're right at 200 feet. So you would see either a wet mix or mainly rain. And then when you keep going up in elevation, so, snow chance above 200 feet, I really like it, a better chance of snow when you hop up more to 500 to 1,000. Now you're definitely getting into folks that live up in elevation in the Metro Hills, and sticking snow potential of 1 to 4 inches. This also includes the Cascade foothill communities. And as always, when you start getting up in elevation and nestled against the Cascades, maybe you have a chance to get more than 4 inches. But remember, this time around, we actually expect a higher moisture threat along the coast range than the Cascades. So I'm wondering if there could be some cold pooling along the coast range, East Banks. That would be Corvallis. That would be maybe areas of Polk County. Maybe some cold spots where they get some decent snow out in parts of the Willamette Valley wine country. Some of those hills easily go up to 500 feet and above. So could there be some hefty amounts in those locations tomorrow morning? We'll keep an eye on that. All right, so enough on that. I think you get the idea. Let's go ahead and go to this map. This just shows you, this is from the American, what they call the GFS Global Forecast models, what that stands for. Anyway, this is the surface low track of that model, and most models agree. So here's Saturday 4 a.m. I realize this is probably kind of tough to see, but the brown are the state borders. So right here with my finger, that's Portland. Here's the low, 4 a.m., cold front right here, just near the shore, as I mentioned. But here it is at 10 o'clock. So look at the position, look at the position. The low itself really hasn't budged, still holding offshore. We're getting a little cooler push inland, but not much. And then even Saturday at 4 p.m., there's that same low. Guess what? It hasn't moved, sitting offshore. What happens by the time we get to Sunday morning at 4 a.m.? There's our low, and now instead of being up here, don't worry about these other weaker systems. The main low is now moving inland, but it's doing so well to our south across Northern California. Now, remember earlier this week when we had that snow early morning, it was like a dusting to as much as just under 2 inches in spots like Corvallis and Salem and out into the Dallas area. That was with an upper level low that actually moved inland. And what happened was that was enough to produce kind of a forcing cold air bubble. So my point here is the low itself never really comes inland over our area. So we're going to assume that's not going to give us any forced cold air. Now, the reason that the Weather Service has popped up a snow advisory and the forecasters have been going, hey, we're at least looking at Saturday morning, is this low with its position has the potential to pull some east wind out of the gorge. And often east winds out of the gorge bring in colder weather. Now you can maybe force the temperature down to around 32. So let's go to the source. Here are the Columbia River Gorge temperatures at 4 o'clock this afternoon. 44 Cascade Locks, 43 Hood River, 46 the Dalles. Well, that's the same temperature we have here in the valley. So my point is, even if we get an east wind, it looks like we will, but not a strong one. It's going to be kind of a south to southeast wind tomorrow and not terribly strong. But the east wind's pulling out of the gorge. The temperatures here are expected to be within a few degrees of what we're going to be in the valley. Now, you folks may get down to freezing tonight, and actually I like the chances that there being some sticking snow in the gorge overnight, but it's not enough of a temperature difference that it would really pull colder air, a cold air advection into the valley, if that makes sense. Now, when we had that big storm that was not forecasted to just blow up like it did a Wednesday ago, that was with that had east winds pulling off much colder air out in the gorge, and that is what dropped the temperature. And quite frankly, although I never would have projected the amount of snow that we had, I should have done a better job of realizing the temperatures were going to drop quickly during the day and the east wind started to blow. But that was different. That was a stronger east wind, and that was pulling off of colder weather. This is a lighter east wind, not pulling off of colder weather, okay? Even though the low, I know what you're thinking, even though the low itself kind of sits there all day, it doesn't have anything else to really go with it. So with that said, here's my worded forecast. Saturday, likely rain in Portland Saturday morning or a wet snow mix. Same thing for Salem. Same thing for anybody that's below 200 feet up and down I-5. The elevations above 200 feet, we'll start to see an increasing chance of snow with up to a couple inches near and above 500 feet. That's not a guarantee. I think this is a possibility. I wouldn't be shocked if it's even rain at 500 feet. The afternoon will see rain showers of snow levels near to maybe above 1,000 feet, which is what we've been seeing. I mean, when it's all said and done, most of even the early mornings have been seeing snow levels hold just above 1,000 feet. And that's what we eventually will see tomorrow afternoon. And quite frankly, we may even see that earlier in the morning. Winds will be southeast 5 to 25 miles per hour. Notice the sunset, by the way, today the sun's going down at 6 p.m., 6:01 tomorrow. So what does all that mean? It means rain in the city of Salem, Vancouver, and Portland, if I'm right. And then you start climbing up in elevation, you see an increasing chance of snow. So nothing unusual about any of that, right? The Mount Hood forecast, remember the Coast Range had 6 to 12? This has 4 to 8. So I'm talking about not nearly as much. And then starting Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of a mix of sun, and maybe there are enough light snow showers during the day that the Cascades will pick up a little bit of snow. Snow levels generally going to continue to be low, anywhere from 500 feet early in the morning to 1,000 or a little bit higher during the afternoon. I mentioned this earlier and yesterday, and I'll mention it again as we look at the 7 days. Starting Sunday through Wednesday, there's not much going on. We're sitting in a cold trough of low pressure that's kind of broad and weak. Right now, models do not show any disturbances kind of zinging in. So basically, if that comes true, these will be days that because of cold air aloft, we have partly cloudy skies that start to develop some building cumulus clouds. We get daytime heating leading to scattered showers that sometimes can produce some big downpours. But then once the sun goes down, the showers tend to end and you're mostly dry overnight, mostly dry in the morning until the daytime heating starts to go. So overnight lows will be in the 30s, but maybe we're dry, and that's no big deal with temperatures down around freezing. Some of those showers in the afternoon could produce a wintry mix, but generally speaking, I don't see much of an issue here. It's just going to be chilly. We talked about tomorrow in detail. I think it favors rain up and down the main flats of the I-5 corridor. The next big push of moisture, by the way, is with a warm front Thursday. Right now, this looks to be rain, and it looks to be a steady rain day, something we haven't seen in a while. If the models don't change, this could be 3/4 of an inch, maybe even more over a 24-hour period, maybe an inch. And then still some likely rain Friday with temperatures of 40, 49. That's all still well below normal. Remember, the normal temperatures are now 55 and 38 for this time of the year. So that is a chilly, chilly 7-day forecast. So I'll get up early tomorrow morning and I'll check everything. And if I'm wrong, if it looks like, oh my goodness, temperatures have dropped and we already starting to get snow, I'll get something posted pretty early to update you. And by pretty early, I'm talking like before 6 in the morning. So just check your YouTube notifications if you subscribe to see if I've posted anything. If I haven't, that means everything's going the way it's supposed to go. So thank you for subscribing. Thanks for telling your friends and supporting my forecast work. It means a lot to me. And I will talk to you soon.